In this PulseWorx video, we're going to cover the scene editor. This is really what it's all about. Adding devices into your network just gets them into the system so that they can talk to each other. Now we have to describe how they're going to talk to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the entry keypad as a device controller. In the previous video, we looked at the differences between scenes and device controller. So what we're going to do is we're going to select it. We'll go to the device category and we'll select controller edit. Okay, the first thing you notice is the ribbon has changed quite a bit. We'll get to that in a second, and we have a pop-up. And this is just a reminder, and I think you'll get pretty tired of it after a while, so you can always just check the box and it won't get shown again. It's just reminding you that with a keypad load dimmer, which this is, and you have to go ahead and add it to the scene otherwise itself if you want to be able to have a button that turns itself on. Some people forget to do that, and then they don't understand why it doesn't work if you're controlling the load that the keypad load dimmer itself is controlling. So I've gone ahead in the previous thing, I've put in names for all my keys. So the outside, deco, kitchen, entry keypad, entry, and kids room. So let's go ahead. Now we've got that set up, and you can set those if you want by changing the text. So if I want to change deco to deco lights, I can go ahead and do that. I could change the font, I can change the color, all that kind of information, which will be captured and saved later, so that if you want to get in custom engraved keypads, you can do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start the basic operation. So outside, I'm going to click on this button. I want to add that device to this button. So let's drag it on so you can see it. And we're going to put the gazebo lights, and we're going to say we want those to go to 100% in the default time. Okay, that's it. Now when I press this button, that light's going to come on. What about the deco lights? We'll pick those. What about the kitchen? We'll pick that. And what about the entry? Well, that's this keypad itself. So just like before, it said we have to remember to go add that entry keypad since it does control its own load. And then the kids room, we're going to add devices to that. We're going to add the kids room lights and the kids room keypad, which is another keypad load dimmer. So we add both of those, and that's it. That is all set up now. Press this button, those lights come on. Press this button, those lights come on. Kitchen, entry, kids room. Now if I want to change this, and let's say that when I press the entry, I really don't want the lights to come on at 100%. All I have to do is click and change this to, let's say, 70%. And if I want them to come on a little slower, a little faster, I can do that, and that's done. And that's all that's required. We can go back to each one of these things. So let's go to the kids room's lights. Let's change that also to 80%. Check. And let's set the keypad. Suppose that we didn't want that to come on at all. We can set that to 0. And there you go. If you want to change one of these instead of the entry, so let's say we want to remove the keypad, which is the load dimmer, all we have to do is select it and press remove. And that's done. When we add things, if we want, we can view them as a list. And we can always drag any of these things bigger if we want to see what kind of device it is. What's the firmware version, all that kind of stuff, or we can go and view it as an icon. Once you're all done, you can go ahead and program that. So I'm going to hit program at this point. So now it's going to have to program all the devices that are that are either acted upon by this keypad or the keypad itself. And I'm going to go ahead and pause this video at this point, let the programming finish, and then I'll come back. Okay, the programming's finished now, and everything did program successfully. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And now we can do things like we can test the keypad. We're going to bring up a keypad, and it'll allow us to press a button just like we were pressing a button on the actual keypad. We can also test the communications, and these are the communications between the keypad and its receivers. We're going to go into some of these in later videos. And we can also one thing we can do is we can capture. Now we're going to talk about capture for a second. So I've got the entry. I've got, let's see, the kitchen. Let's take the kitchen lights. So right now, that's going to go to 100%. Suppose that, I want it actually to go to 60%. Okay, so I do that. Now, how does that look? Is that really bright enough for what I want, or is it too bright or something like that? Well, I can go and actually control it. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to do a dim, and I'm going to set the actual kitchen light to, let's say, 60%. Now it's actually sent the command and the light has gone on at this point. And then I go and I walk into the kitchen, I look at that and I say, wow, that's really not quite what I want. So I use the paddle and I manually lower it down a little bit. Yeah, that's exactly what I want now. So I come back and I do a capture. We'll get a little helpful pop-up. It says it's going to poll. Do that, and it polls it, and it says one device polled for the status and one has an updated scene level. So now the kitchen lights at 30%. Yes, that's what I wanted. So using capture, you can actually capture the actual levels that the devices are at. So you could sort of adjust things either by changing it here or actually going to the device itself and raising or lowering the illumination level. When you're all finished, we just go ahead and close. And it says, well, I have devices that needs to be programmed. Well, why is that since I programmed before? Well, I've updated the scene level in the kitchen lights. So we'll go ahead and do that. And indeed, it has doing the kitchen lights. And it's going to program that by updating that scene. And it's all been programmed and it's correct. So we'll go ahead and close. And now we're back out. That's pretty much what scene programming is all about. In the next video, I'm going to do a device. I did a device control. Next, I'm going to do a scene controller, and then I'm going to do a keypad, which is very similar.